Why this league? Why?
You know how long my relationship's been with the NFL. And I think what always shocked me was Super Bowl ends and everything falls off a cliff. There's like 80 million fewer people watch sports on the weekend, starting the weekend after the Super Bowl for 6 months. And 1/3 of all fantasy players stop playing all forms of fantasy. And if you take March Madness out, it's like 40 million people. And so if you did that in any other business, if I told you that, you know, Uber could only operate for 6 months a year and the other 6 months a year, there was just nothing. And I said, hey, I'm going to launch a new Uber in that exact window, you would invest. Everybody would want to get on board. And so football had that. And then on the other side of it was you had this massive group of players. And there are like 28,000 Division I players every year that become available and nowhere to play because there are only 1,200 new spots in the NFL. So we looked at that and it was like, okay, there's obvious. And then the minute that I started talking to Polian and he said, yeah, this is something we should be doing. I'm interested in doing it. It changed. That changed everything. Because my dad said, yeah, my dad said, talk to Bill to see if you're crazy. And Bill goes, you know, I would co-found this with you. I called my dad and was like, does that count as support? He was like, yes. I'm like, all right. Well,
that counts as support. And obviously, you know, your dad, Dick Ebersol, one of the legends in the television business, sports entertainment, also behind the XFL. And you were the director of the 30 for 30 on that. So you obviously know what worked there and what might not work here. And that obviously is about the players here.
Yeah.
You need to use your, you know, your Uber analogy. If I'm used to driving one of the luxury cars that Uber's driving around, I might not get that app in the off season if I've got to drive a jalopy. So who are the players that you're identifying here?
One of the things that Bill really opened my eyes to, and a lot of the other people that we brought in, so it's Bill Polian, but then running football ops is J.K. McKay and Troy Polamalu and Jared Allen and Justin Tuck and Heinz Ward. One of the things that became really clear early on was that getting great players is more a science than an art. And so if you look at, we're going to run our draft 3 or 4 weeks after the NFL does its final cut down. So you have 900 players who become available September 3rd this year. We're running our season from the week after the Super Bowl to the NFL draft. So for players, there's nowhere else, there's nothing else to be doing in that window. And you want to show off your wares because if you've been cut by the NFL or whatever, that's a great opportunity. And then the third thing is you got to put great coaches on the field. Something that hasn't really been done, certainly not since the USFL, but in the last 25 years. And so as we've rolled these coaches out, we rolled out Spurrier, Coach Steve Spurrier, the head ball coach in Orlando. Brad Childress with Michael Vick as his offensive coordinator. In about 48 hours, we're going to announce our head coach in Memphis. And you're going to see that the pattern here is that these guys either coached or played in Super Bowls or they won national championships. We want to put the best talent on the field off the sideline so the guys between the lines can actually perform.
So Charlie Ebersol, the founder of the Alliance of American Football, I say co-founder. Is Bill technically a co-founder?
Definitely co-founder.
Okay, sorry, co-founder.
It would be insane if I launched a football league without Bill Polian.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble with Bill Polian.
No, please don't.
I've been on the business end of that way back in the day at combines, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
We don't want to do that. So where, for those who may not know, where are these teams going to go?
So we've announced the first 3 cities. We've announced Orlando, Atlanta, and Memphis. And we'll announce the last 5 cities over the next 4 weeks, I think.
Okay.
My dad told me that all good stories should be dripped out very slowly. So we're rolling them out, you know, one at a time.
Did you personally call Spurrier? Who twisted his arm to do this?
Steve called J.K. So J.K. McKay, who is our head of football operations with Troy Polamalu, played with Steve in Tampa. And Steve was his quarterback. And when we announced, he called and said, I want to coach for you. Or sorry, not when we announced, when we were doing this several months ago.
Yes.
To this day, I don't know how Steve knew what we were doing. But he called and said, I really want to do this. And that was of all the coaches we have, that was the most like emphatic, which is part of the reason we announced Orlando first was he cannot be contained.
He cannot
be contained.
Well, we were just joking when that piece of news came out, Charlie, is that we've got to our right a putting green from the Callaway corner. Would you want one of those on the sideline to keep him occupied during downtime of the game?
I think that we got him a lot of extra visors.
Okay.
And they've got extra bounce in them. So when he gets play to play, he can bounce him off the ground and pick him back up in one motion.
As you know, it's an entertainment product that you're putting out on the field.
It is.
We need to see that sort of thing.
It is.
Of course.
And if no better example of it would be Steve Spurrier.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.